Hello everyone, I think we are live. If you see us, tell us in the chat. I'll wait for confirmation.
I'm here, Louis. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great.
We hear us. I'm waiting maybe from Jean-Daniel or the other people attending. Okay, thank you. So hello everyone, Leonard is the VINCI's innovation and foresight platform, and among our activities, we have two startups program. Seed, to help new startups structure their business plan, and Catalyst. The Catalyst program was launched in January and is designed to foster and accelerate partnerships between VINCI and startups or scale-ups in their commercial development phase. And today we begin our cycle of 11 daily online presentations from startups with people from VINCI to discuss their cooperation. So I would like to begin by thanking our panelists today. We have Josh Karner, the CEO of Smartvid, and Djamil Yahia-Ouahmed, the head of AI and data at VINCI Construction. We'll first hear the presentation of Smartvid and its value proposition. And after that, I do have a few questions on the potential collaboration between Smartvid and VINCI. You can also ask any questions that you have in the chat, and I'll be your voice at the end of the exchange. And during the presentation, you can click on the slides to see them in a bigger window. Josh, you have the floor.
Great, thanks, Louis. I'm going to switch over and start sharing my screen. It's great to be a part of the Catalyst program, and we really appreciate the opportunity. Here we go. Hang on one sec, and I'm going to give a quick overview of the Smartvid platform, how we're bringing artificial intelligence to help reduce risk in the global construction industry. My name is Josh Karner. I'm the founder and CEO of Smartvid. I've been doing construction technology now for over 15 years. It's really an honor to have the opportunity to work with VINCI in this program as a part of the Catalyst program within Leonard. We are a software company. We're 100% focused on the construction industry, and our focus is within that to reduce project risk in the area of safety by applying artificial intelligence. We've built computer vision models that can see over 50 different kinds of relevant safety risks, as I'll talk to in a second, including risks around COVID-19 to help reduce the overall chances of outbreaks on site. Our construction-tuned AI has actually been proven to be 4 times better than off-the-shelf products like Google because we're trained on construction data. It's really important to know the data that your AI is trained on because that helps the AI be more effective. We've also pre-built integrations with construction technology as well as data management technology. Djamil and I were actually just talking. We've just released a integration with SharePoint. We also have integrations with Autodesk, with Procore, with Oracle, so that our AI can look at your data and give you insights. We're based here in Boston, Massachusetts. We have offices around the world. Look forward to coming over to Paris again and meeting with the VINCI team. As international travel is hopefully starts to be allowed coming up. Our customers, like VINCI, are large, multi-billion-dollar contractors. You can see some of them at the bottom, as well as we do some work with owners in the oil and gas and industrial industry, like ExxonMobil. So why are we bringing AI to construction for safety? Well, it's because the results can be very dramatic. Our customers have seen from 30 to 60% reduction in their incident rates by using our applications to understand where their risk is project to project, and then be able to focus on those jobs where our AI is seeing higher risk. In this new COVID era, we're also able to benchmark projects against each other in terms of their COVID mitigation practices like social distancing and now wearing masks. So I'm going to talk about 2 things today. Our focus areas with VINCI. One is COVID-19 risk analysis and documentation. And 2 is predictive models for safety. On the predictive models side, what we've seen is that the things the AI can detect can then be used along with other data, not just to look at what's happening today or what's happened in the past, but to look forward and predict what's going to happen in the future. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you to the Leonard program for the opportunity to work with VINCI and to present today. Let's get into the COVID risk analysis piece. So I'm not trying to be cute here, but you can think of it as Smartvid for COVID. It rhymes, it works. And what it is, though, is an automatic cross-project risk analysis and documentation program. So how does this work? Well, first, part one. Our safety monitoring module here at Smartvid takes in your project photos and video. Maybe they're in SharePoint, maybe they're in other systems. Our AI, which we've nicknamed Vinnie. So IBM has Watson, Amazon has Alexa. We at Smartvid, we're in construction, we have Vinnie. Our AI, Vinnie, analyzes that imagery, and then we create data, reports, KPIs, both in dashboards, as I'll show you in a second, as well as through our API, you can pull the data into your own business intelligence environments. Where does the data come from? Well, we pull it from systems like Box. We pull it from Autodesk, from Site Cameras, from Procore, Oracle, from 360 photo capture like Construction Site. We aggregate all that data together, and then Vinnie analyzes it. We also have our own mobile app, which is very handy for taking 2D photos. And then also it removes the photos automatically from the end user's phone. So everybody's phones don't get cluttered with all the construction photo documentation. So what does Vinnie do? Vinnie, like I mentioned, has been trained to see over 50 different safety risks, everything from folding ladders, as you can see here, to various types of lifts, so work at height hazards, slip, trip, and fall hazards like standing water, and safety as well as quality-related issues like housekeeping. All of them tie back as leading indicators of safety risk, and in the case of housekeeping, also of quality risk, and they are aggregated so that you can then look at the data. Now, in addition to those traditional, areas of safety and quality risk, Vinnie is over the last 2 months, we have expanded Vinnie to be able to help with COVID-19 compliance. So how have we done that? Well, first of all, Vinnie has now been trained to detect if think of it as social distancing compliance percentages. So we can see, for example, like these two workers who are tying rebar, that they're actually closer than 6 feet or 2 meters to each other. We also have now trained a detector for Vinnie to be able to see if a worker is missing a mask. So you can actually see this worker has a face covering and this guy doesn't. So we're able to actually create compliance statistics around all of this data. Now, I'm going to talk later about preserving privacy, because you can see that you can actually see this guy's face. We allow you to generate the data, and then if you want, you can delete the photos to help preserve worker privacy, but still maintain the data that you need to manage the business, to help keep sites open by being able to understand how well you're implementing COVID-19 mitigation. So what is that data? Well, here's a dashboard that you can see many different projects, and then we're able to actually benchmark, because of the Vinnie analytics, things like social distancing, how much of social distancing compliance is going on, compliance with glove policies, face mask compliance, so that you can focus your attention on those projects which may require additional training, and be able to minimize your risk of COVID-19 outbreaks on those projects. So here, for example, is your overall face mask compliance percentage, and then you can see it by project. So this job here, for example, which I'll show in more detail on the next slide, this job here has 11% face mask compliance, and it gets this little red dot. This one has 70%, it gets this little red dot. It's a good opportunity to see which projects at an overall level may need additional training, may need additional support. This is not about identifying individual workers. It's about the data that helps you understand which projects may need attention. That's part one. Part two is our observations and reporting framework. So as a part of COVID-19 compliance, many companies have to document every day what they're doing on site to help with their COVID program. Smartvid supports that with our mobile observations application. It works right on your mobile phone and allows you to, in the field, do things like document, hand washing stations in place, document that specific trainings have been done, document basically any of the field aspects of your COVID-19 program. Now, those observations, like, for example, were temperatures taken this morning, are really easy to create on the mobile app. So whoever the COVID-19 manager is or your safety managers can quickly and easily take these documentations. And then all of it goes automatically into a set of reports. In addition, the observations that are being made, as I showed in part 1, like no masks, people in group, no gloves, those can also create observations automatically, and then those can generate alerts. So you can be notified as some of these, if you want, as some of these behaviors are seen. At the end of the day, and I do mean at the end of the day or on demand, but you can automatically get a report that gives you the positives. So, for example, proper social distancing observed or hand washing station was installed. You get automated reporting of your COVID mitigation efforts. This saves a ton of time. It's like a program documentation automated helper that is documenting for each of your sites what you're doing for COVID. It also can help document your other safety practices. For COVID, though, it all comes together in terms of the AI as well as this observation tracking to help reduce the amount of work that you have to do. It's all automated. The second part of our collaboration with VINCI is around predictive analytics, where we're discussing how we can use data to help understand where things are going. So as opposed to seeing trends of what's happening today, like in that dashboard I showed you, this is taking that as input to try and predict the future. So in this example, there's a safety professional who's observing what's happening on the job. What he'd really like to know is, what are my risks going forward and where should I focus? So as a part of our predictive-based safety approach, we actually, and I realized, swap this out. We also have a dashboard with France in the middle, not the United States. So apologies for that. But you can show all your different projects across the country and understand which ones are at highest risk for a safety incident in the coming week. Then that information can be used in the morning safety talk or perhaps a toolbox talk to help focus the team on the right kinds of mitigations. Now, this kind of proactive approach, focusing on the projects that have the highest risk, has resulted in some companies reducing their incident rates by 60%. So they've done that because they know where the problems are going to start. Now, predictive analytics takes as input safety monitoring, Vinnie's observations, safety observations, which can be your own safety observation program or our safety observation tool. But then it combines it with a whole bunch of other data, production data, time card data, weather data, your incident data, and it uses all of that to create a risk score for each project. So Vinnie, our AI and risk scoring engine, is now not just looking at photos, it's looking at all this other risk data as well. And the result is that you can reduce your incident rates when you act on those predictions. If you're listening to this and you're interested in an engagement with us, we have a really well-crafted 3-phase program for doing predictive. Phase 1 is we'll identify and evaluate your data with you. Phase 2, we develop and prove out the predictive model. And Phase 3, we implement the insights in those kinds of dashboards to help it be actionable and to help you run your business better, now with the benefit of predictive analytics. What we see is that we're able to predict with high confidence, let's say out of 60 jobs, which of the top jobs are likely to have the most incidents, allowing you to focus your attention. So that's Smartvid in a nutshell, the COVID compliance angle and offering, where we have a full COVID compliance solution and then also predictive. Given our work with VINCI and other European contractors, we have, over the last 2 years, put in a number of privacy-preserving measures to recognize the importance of privacy in the European context and in the global context as well. So I just wanted to highlight some of those. First of all, Smartvid does no facial recognition, and we never will. We also don't store any personally identifiable information other than usernames of each user. We're not identifying anybody who's seen in the imagery. We're not trying to identify them. We also have put in place a GDPR compliance infrastructure and certification. So we're a member of the Privacy Shield framework. We've been certified to the GDPR compliance infrastructure that presents. Additionally, if you want to go to the extreme, you could even delete out the imagery so that it's no longer present, and just use the data, the analytics that Vinnie provides, and have the ultimate in safeguard against potential any potential privacy thoughts. It's very easy to get started. This is my last slide, and I'll turn it back to you, Louis. We would love to kick off, whether you're listening to this webinar and you're new to us, we'd love to kick off a pilot engagement with you. You can try out our COVID-19 program of Vinnie's automated AI observations, as well as the mobile app to help document your field processes, or engage in a predictive analytics engagement. For COVID-19, we are doing proof of concepts for 1 or 2 months for you to be able to see your data and see what Vinnie sees in your data. So if you have SharePoint, if you have Procore or Autodesk or Oracle or Box, if you're capturing your imagery in any of those systems, it's very easy to just literally press play on Smartvid and connect those systems up. My email is here for follow-up, and really look forward to the rest of this webinar and the conversation with Djamil. Back to you, Louis, and thanks again for the opportunity to work with VINCI through the Catalyst program.
Thank you a lot, Josh. I'm sorry I'm having problems with my camera and mic, but I will try to make it work for the next sessions. And Josh, I think you answered a few of the questions I had, so I'll turn back to Djamil by thanking you again for joining us. And can you maybe describe your role at VINCI Construction, and then elaborate a bit more on computer vision and AI training?
Djamil, I cannot hear you. Louis, can you hear Djamil?
Like that?
Oh, now we can. Yep.
Okay. Yes. Sorry. So yeah, I'm in charge of AI topic within VINCI Construction. Actually, it's a new position created last year within the holding of VINCI Construction, within the engineering innovation department. So I am what we call a technology catalyzer. So which means that we take the new technologies that are applied in other industries, and we try to implement them in the construction. So I'm in charge of the AI, and I have colleagues that are dealing with IoT and others with what we call disruption construction, etc. So we take the new technologies and we try to test them in the construction. And actually, I'm coming from the construction world, so I spent 10 years on the project, so managing teams, sites, and safety issues. And during my last project, actually, I developed some tools to handle all the data that are created by the site. And also, I started developing. I mean, it was just like a proto to something that is really close to Smartvid. It was to help the sites to monitor the safety, because it's something really important for us. And we are thinking all the day about this, and especially abroad, sometimes it's really complicated to manage big sites. So that's why I was thinking about, okay, how can we help our safety teams? And so I started looking at the computer vision, and so I did something I can show you later on. And the idea is to how to detect, for example, equipment, if a worker that doesn't have his helmet, or if there is a falling hazard and stuff like that. So it was interesting. It was not at the same, I didn't have the results of Smartvid, but it was interesting. Anyway, so, and we created this position because we needed somebody who knows the construction, and also who has a good knowledge of this technology, because it's really important to understand first what is feasible, and what is not feasible, and also what is interesting from a construction site point of view, because we can have a lot of ideas using AI, but if the site doesn't need it, there is no point to go and to spend time and money on this. And also what I'm doing, I'm trying to create like an AI community within VINCI Construction. So by doing some presentation to explain what is AI, how we can use it, how it can help us in our daily tasks, and I also helping the teams that have an idea to go deeper and to try to make maybe a proof of concept or test something. So I'm like a central point for all this topic, for this topic of AI, for all the teams within VINCI. Of course, there are independent teams, but I'm here to make the link between all the teams, because we are a very big group, and so I'm here to make the link, because if somebody is working on one topic and another team would like to do it, so I'm here to connect the colleagues. And yes, so now because I didn't hear you very well, you want me to talk about AI, Luis?
Yeah, maybe a bit about AI and maybe Scrum site also.
Okay. So very quickly, so we'll talk about AI. So you can see the screen. Okay. Okay, so what we call AI, it's something really big. And we have many things inside, and one of the subtopic is data science, which means all the tools and algorithms to extract the knowledge of all the data that we have. And within this data science, we have what we call machine learning, which is all the processes of learning. So clearly, we will not give some rules to the machine. We will let the machine find its own rules. And within the machine learning, we have what we call deep learning, which is machine learning using artificial neural networks. So I will not go within the details of this, but anyway, it's a subfamily, very performant, and this is used a lot right now, because first we have a lot of data, because it needs a lot of data, and also it requires big capacity of calculation. So and it's something that we have right now. So that's why since the 8 last years, we have a lot of use cases using deep learning. And to explain the difference between, let's say, the normal programming and the AI, and machine learning. So so previously, what we do is we have inputs. We will do some programming to do some rules. We put these inputs in our rules, and we'll get the output. With machine learning, it's a bit different because we'll have the input, and we will put also the input related to this. The outputs related to these inputs. And so it's the machine who will find the rules, and will give us the result. And the more we have data, the more our program will be efficient. And so in machine learning, there are a lot of subfamilies, and today we will talk about computer vision, because this is the base of Smartvid. So for computer vision, this is what we see with facial recognition, safety monitoring, medical imagery, and etc. So all what is dealing with images. And how it works, so we are simplifying, of course, but we will give a lot of images, for example, of a situation. Here, for example, I will give the machine a lot of images of a cat. And after this, if the machine will find by itself the rules that will define what is an image of a cat or what is not an image of a cat. And if I give to the machine a new image, it will tell me this is a cat or this is not a cat. So this is the basis of computer vision using deep learning. And of course, so these are some images of the proto that I did. So it's quite interesting. So we'll find some people that are working at height, etc. But it's not so easy just tagging some objects and doing some training, because after what is really important is the context. What is the context? Because we'll find in our work site, we have all the time people working at height, people working on scaffoldings, we'll have a lot of ladders. But how can we say that this is a risky situation or not? So, and we understand that there is also we need to work on the data that we will have to define and to go a little bit far on the analysis, because given just objects and we see this, somebody who has not his helmet, etc., and scaffoldings, and we will not have a lot of information. Of course, we'll have a lot of information, but not useful. And I think a solution like Smartvid, first, they are really they have good scores on detection. This is pretty important when you are dealing with safety, because if you don't detect something, maybe you will miss an accident. And also we'll see here, I think we'll see the presentation how they will look at the future based on what we have seen the last week, etc. And they will say, okay, I have seen a lot of work at height, a lot of hazards, so be careful. Maybe you have to correct some stuff. So this is the most important thing, is the prediction, because if we see the accident after, it's pointless. The most interesting thing is to see what will happen. So this is something that we are doing with the data that we are collecting, because of course we have tools to collect the data from sites. We have statistics that are working, because there are many theories like Bird's pyramid, etc. But I think we need something more to help us on safety, because it's, again, we are talking about people, we are talking about lives, so we have to take all the solution that can help us.
Thank you, Djamil. I think, Josh, you can maybe answer that with so computer vision and AI. Those are kind of your specialties. Can you tell us more about how you train Vinnie in terms of detection, number of images, data set, and of course in terms of prediction?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. So it's really interesting, Djamil, that you mentioned context. It's a word that is really important to understand what's coming out of the AI, right? We actually just released over the last 6 months a whole bunch of tags and a bunch of Vinnie recognition capabilities that are all about context. So if you're just take worker PPE, like you were saying, if it's worker PPE and you're out on an active job site versus worker PPE that's required if you're doing interiors work and painting, those are very different requirements. In the context, though, what we've seen is you can actually train models to understand context. And then you could say, so show me all of the high-risk things that are happening in an exterior. Show me the high-risk things that are happening in interiors. And then that helps provide some of the automated context about the overall activities. And it makes it much more useful and actionable, because you can then filter out, for example, things that don't really matter when you're painting in an interior wall, but do matter a lot if you're going to be outside or if you're in structural steel, in that process. Oh, I think we may have just lost Djamil. Louis, do you see?
He will come back.
He'll come back soon. Great. So back to your question about how we train Vinnie. So yeah, so Vinnie's trained on millions and millions of images from construction sites. So whether they're from mobile phones or they're coming from site cameras, we've used a whole bunch of construction data over the last 5 years to train up, like I mentioned, 50 different models. Some of them are about workers and worker specifics of workers. Some of them are about the context, like I was saying, like what's the phase of construction. We can actually detect phase of construction. And then also some more advanced stuff too. We've just started rolling out additional insights that can be built on top of Vinnie's AI tags, like trenching and shoring or worker positions on ladders. All of these things which can be used to create predictive indicators of risk. As well as identify trends and focus attention on current projects, but then also feed into predictions, which actually, I see Djamil is back. Welcome back. In your slide, you have all the different uses of AI. That's awesome. We started with computer vision, and now with predictive, we're also doing a whole bunch of the forecasting and analytics piece that you had on your slide as well, where we're taking in as inputs into Vinnie not just images but also structured data, like how many field observations are happening, what's the manpower on the site. All those can be combined with the visual data to create these predictions, as well as create insights into what needs to happen to help reduce risk. And that's been a really important part of our evolution, which is, we're continuing to grow and invest Vinnie, the visual AI, and now we're adding in these additional sources of data to be able to build the best predictions.
Josh, regarding use cases, so I guess outside, inside is no matter for you. Do you need cameras? You just need photos? What do you need to set up?
Yeah, so let's take the COVID-19 mitigation solution. You just need photo data. So whether it's it could be coming from your teams and their mobile phones. Maybe you have site cameras. Maybe we also can help provide cameras that you can set up on site, and then they will connect to the internet, and they'll take snapshots every once in a while and help understand what's going on there. So we also have solutions for interiors. If the easiest one is just as a part of progress tracking. There should be photos taken of the site anyway. So if your company has a progress tracking methodology, you may be gathering imagery. If you don't, we even have miniature cameras that you can put in a bracket on the wall, and they will take a picture every once in a while and at a certain time frame, and then you can pull the camera out of the bracket and put it in a docking station at the end of the day, and it will synchronize all those photos up to Smartvid so that it can analyze them. So the whole spectrum. If you already have progress tracking methodologies all the way through to different kinds of camera solutions, we're happy to help you out with those.
For progress tracking, I will let people know that there is another startup from the Catalyst program called HoloBuilder. You can tune in on the next session, and I think they already have this.
Great point. Yeah, great point, Louis. Yeah, so we can use HoloBuilder data too. So HoloBuilder has 360 spheres. Vinnie, last year we trained Vinnie to work in 360. So it's actually really cool, Djamil. You can, when you click on an observation or a Vinnie tag, it will rotate the sphere to where that thing was observed and then zoom in on it. So you can detect multiple people, do multiple PPE assessments, detect multiple risk areas all in one sphere, and it will navigate it for you and then pull out the data so that it can go into a dashboard.
Seems really interesting.
Yeah, it's a great demo. I'll show you afterwards. Because you don't know where it is in the sphere, and all of a sudden, it shows you where it is.
I would like to go on another topic, which is really important, I think, in this kind of collaboration between Smartvid and VINCI about the data. Djamil, in your mind, what are the key aspects about data for collaboration?
Yes, actually, it's true. Now we are a lot of talking about data all the time. So all the big companies are trying to protect their data, And so especially this this type of data, because it's not only let's say business data or methodology data, it's also privacy data. And so we also have the obligation to be rigorous about this. And so that's why it's really important to use the best solution that will guarantee us this type of security, let's say, for the data. Because, as I said, we have construction site will generate a lot of data, and safety data is one of the things that will have. So it's photos and it's also analytics. And so who will own this data, where we will put it, and I think the way that Smartvid is dealing with this is something interesting, because it's clustered. It's a really new way to manage this. And also there is the data. I think you have this way of dealing the photos automatically. Maybe you have some solution for blurring people. These kind of things are important in Europe, and especially in France, because we need some authorization from the workers to use this kind of solutions. So yeah, it's something really critical for us.
Josh, what's your view on this point, and how can you reassure a group such as VINCI about this treasure that we have, the data?
We cannot hear you, Josh.
We cannot hear you, Josh.
I did I forgot to mute myself. So it's all of the standard issues with the video call. Some people may be playing bingo out there. So we've had all the challenges. We just need a dog, I think, maybe to come and bark. I hear the question, and it's an important one, Louis, about the data and data privacy. That's why I presented that slide in our presentation about what we've done. Djamil mentioned a few of the technical issues that we can handle: blurring faces, also automatic data deletion. At its core, what it's doing is it's just like a person, though, looking at it, right? So if you have a human inspector looking, this is exactly like that, and that's what it's generating. It is a work site too. I think that's the other thing to keep in mind. This is not about this is not a public space. This is a work site space, and it is the responsibility of the contractor to maintain the safety of their employees. So we really appreciate the privacy concerns, but there is an overarching also safety concern here that this kind of data can help provide. So we think it's very important to maintain privacy. We don't do facial recognition, and we never will. And we also have created a whole infrastructure for being GDPR compliant, including certification under the Privacy Shield standard. So if you just want the analytics and you want zero photos, zero way for anybody ever to have their likeness be seen, then you can do that in Smartvid. You can get the imagery in, the data is analyzed in the back end, and then automatically deleted, so that you are getting the numbers about your compliance, but you're not getting any of the imagery, which may be a problem, which could require oversight in France.
Thank you. Last subject, then I will go to the floor. The Leonard team did a big sourcing and selection of startups to tackle those new challenges linked to the COVID crisis, such as social distancing. Of course, we selected Smartvid for this, among others. And Josh, you went through in your presentation a lot about this subject. Mm-hmm. Would you like to circle back on that and maybe show us how we can implement something like over a few days or a few weeks if a construction site needs it?
Yeah, so I think the important thing here, just to come back, to come back to the data, the important thing is what data is coming from the your COVID-19 compliance program. So let me just do something really quick here, and I can show an example in real time of how our dashboards include COVID as well as other safety monitoring data. So let me just make sure here. Djamil, Louis, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So this is what I showed the screenshot of before. COVID-19 is a safety risk like any other. By implementing automated analytics, you can reduce your risk of COVID-19. This is I'm quoting one of our customers, and I posted this on LinkedIn and Twitter because it was really it was just a strong way to explain what the value is. He said, "Listen, if you're doing this kind of analytics, your risk of an outbreak is lower. It's just facts. And why is the risk lower? Because you can actually see here's a particular site. This is all demo data, but some of it includes some anonymized customer data. But there's some sites that don't have face mask compliance right now, which with companies that have hundreds of sites, you could see that happening. There are some sites that have great face mask compliance, and this is all data that's being generated in real time off of your projects. So you can measure and manage the social distancing. You can measure and manage face mask compliance. It's a way of being able to get the data about how well your programs are working. And then to my point before, and Djamil, about context, you can see over here construction activities. These are actually the different activities that are happening in the different jobs. And then you can actually, as you click on the various data, it will then filter down the construction activities so that you can see what the observations are, what the context is of those specific observations, which makes it a very useful way to be able to understand the context of your issues. So yeah, our customers asked us for a COVID-19 solution, and we delivered it. And it's really about the data and helping to understand and benchmark your programs and know where you need to focus.
Thank you, Josh. Djamil, do you have something to add on that, or I will go to the floor for the questions?
No, it's fine for me. You can go for the questions.
Okay, so let me first say that if someone wants more information and to get in touch with Smartvid, you can do so in the expo section on the left of your screen after the panel, or directly by writing to me. I will put my email in the chat as well as Josh one. We do have a first question from Jeremy, a colleague at Leonard. To you, Josh, who are the early adopters, and could you give us some examples?
Yeah, sure. So we're in use today on thousands of projects all over the world. So we're past kind of the early adopter phase, actually. And a part of that, so some of our larger customers in the US and around the world include Suffolk Construction here in Boston, but they're national. They do work on the West Coast. Shawmut Design and Construction, Clark Construction, Obayashi as a Japanese firm. And of course, we're now starting to do great work with VINCI. So it's been a great journey. We are in a part of, if you just zoom out for a second, like I said at the beginning, I've been doing construction technology now for over 15 years. 15 years ago, there really was not a lot of data. There wasn't a lot of digital construction data. Now there is. And so you can look around, and many companies like VINCI are trying to figure out, well, how do we use this data, not just to make people more efficient in the field, but how do we use it to actually get insight into our risk? And so there are many companies around the world that are working with us to figure that out. And the use cases to start have been around safety. We also have some really interesting use cases, not just around COVID, but also around people and equipment being close to each other. We can actually now do, you need to use a dedicated camera, but you can now, using Smartvid, you can generate real-time statistics around mobile equipment and people, which is very useful in industrial sites and heavy and civil, like highway and other sites. So that's been another really interesting area and new area for us.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the attendants? We'll wait for a few seconds, and if not, I don't know if Djamil or Josh, you have any closing? Oh, we have a questions. And we'll have some closing remarks if you want. So Carmen is asking you, Josh, are you applying Vinnie to improve safety in other sectors, like in closed environments, such as warehouse, plants, or other open environments?
Yes, yeah, it's a great question. Particularly in these COVID times, these other industrial environments are now need a lot more benefit from a lot more data about what are the practices on site. So yes, we're in use today, and our COVID analytics are being used today in warehouses and industrial sites to help with those sites. If you have a fixed camera there, we can tie into it. We have our own cameras. We don't build the cameras, obviously, but we can recommend cameras, and then we can generate those COVID statistics and also alerts as needed around the specifics of social distancing, mask wearing, PPE. And then the other one that's very useful in plant environments and warehouse environments is people and mobile equipment being close to each other and being able to track that over time and be able to trend that in dashboards to see if a particular area may be trending towards a potential social issue.
I have a question to Josh. Can you explain to us what kind of prediction Vinnie can do, and based on what you are doing these predictions?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to explain that. Yeah, so the prediction area that Vinnie is focused on today is safety. Mm-hmm. And the specific prediction is which projects of the ones you're working on are most likely to have an incident in the coming week. Mm-hmm. What this generates is a list of projects that are sorted by, think of them as likelihood of incidents happening in the coming week. So then you can, as a VP of safety or as a local project manager, regional project manager, you can then, instead of looking at 100 projects and focusing, you can focus on the top 9 or the top 6 because those are predicted to have elevated risk. What we do is we take in as input the photo images that Vinnie sees, but even if you don't have those, we take in other inputs too. What's the weather? What's the manpower on site? What's the phase of construction? What observations are happening on site? Safety observations as well as quality observations, and then also incident data. Those are some examples of the kinds of data that feed into the predictive model. And then those that runs and then generates this project ranking for you to use. I'm actually very happy to announce that it was announced publicly last week that we're now working with the insurance company AXA XL, also a French company, on a joint project to do additional predictive models in new areas, including quality. So it's a really exciting area for us, and one, Djamil, I'd love to, we'd love to continue the conversation with you guys on as well. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. It's so you will have like a score for each project, right?
Correct. Yeah. So you have a score, and then you have also which of the specific features contributed to that score. So it's actionable. So you know, for example, which were the pieces that elevated the risk, which of the features and the overall pieces that elevated the risk for that particular project. So you can actually move beyond the ranking to the action.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you, guys. I think we don't have more questions from the audience, so I will just conclude and let everyone go on with their weekend, except maybe for you, Josh, because it's the beginning of the day. And
still have more to do today. I actually I have 2 other webinars today, so it's a busy Friday.
I know you love those.
They're great.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today, and thank you for everyone to have listened. The next panel will take place on Monday at the same time, and will feature Hibu, a SaaS application that helps construction companies to optimize their fields operation. So let's connect on this. And from now on, you can go to the expo button where you will be able to see any videos of the different startups from the Catalyst program. Thank you all, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.